is Gift Thongpia here with 23 home with grant and gift. Today I'm with Coleman from Atlantic Coach Mortgage. He have a very good news for you, a buyer, because you guys know that today market is changed, right? And most buyer will concerned about interest. But what is the good news about that?
Absolutely. So just like Gift said, you know, in this market, buyers have more leverage and they're able to get things done that they may have had trouble with in previous markets. So one thing that we're looking at in the context of higher interest rates is the fact that the seller is allowed to help subsidize your interest rate. So there's different ways of doing this, but what we kind of wanted to talk about is a temporary buy down.
Yeah. So they have two options for temporary buy down. As he's mentioned, you know, you don't need to necessarily put your money on your pocket to buy this down, right? Because today market, I mean, as you already know, market had shipped because in the few year, everything is a seller market. Now I can see it tend to be a buyer market, right?
Absolutely.
And then that's what the power of buying the home now in the winter, because, you know, even though I would say average right now is about what, 7%?
It was at 7. It came back a little bit. At this point, we're in like the mid 6s approximately.
Okay, that's
depending
perfect.
On what
so
product.
that's a good deal. And then in 6%, let's say 6% interest. Explain about 2-1 buy down.
Absolutely. So the way that this works, and again, there's two different types of buy downs. What we're talking about is a temporary buy down. We can talk about a permanent buy down later. It's a little different. So the temporary buy down is something where the seller is going to help pay a credit to you, and that money is going to be used to get you a lower interest rate for a temporary period of time. So the most common one is something called a 2-1 buy down.
Right.
So for example,
I heard a lot of that. So that's why a lot of people ask me a question. I said, okay, I have to refer to the expert like you. So it will be better.
Sure.
Okay, 2-1 buy down.
Yep, absolutely. So and before I start, this is something that you can apply to a conventional loan, an FHA loan, or a VA loan. So it works with different programs.
Okay.
But for the 2-1 buy down, you know, this is not a real interest rate quote, but if we were to pretend that today we're at 6.5%, a 2-1 buy down would mean that when you buy this home, the first year, instead of paying like you have a 6.5% interest rate, your payment is such as if you had a 4.5% interest rate. That's 2% lower than your permanent rate that it settles at. Right. So your payment for the first year is, again, such that you would, as if you had a 4.5% interest rate. That's the 2 part. The next year, it goes to 5.5%. That's 1% lower. And then the third year, it finally settles at the 6.5%. That's, you know, your permanent rate. That's why they call it a 2-1 buy down. It's 2% lower the first year, 1% lower the second year, and then it settles back at the permanent rate. So that is huge difference, you know, because when you get the money from the seller, a lot of time we call it seller subsidy. So I did a lot of negotiation for my buyer. I mean, depend on who I represent. So in this case, I think that would be a good idea for the buyer is in the fence thinking about buy now and then feel like the high interest. But this is an option for you to own the home now. Think about that. Everything is expensive, right? The inflation, I mean, the rental even more expensive now. But why don't you just own your home and use the seller money to help you? Right? So option is you can also additional, you don't want to stuck with like feel like, oh, super high interest. Maybe you can use your own money to buy permanently buy down yourself and then have seller pay for the 2-1 buy down. And then explain just a little bit more. I know like where is the money go to? Is it you mentioned it's go to escrow, right? The escrow account will hold that. Yeah, so basically the mechanics of how it works is that like you said, the seller credit is being used to buy down your rate. So we calculate the difference in what your, you know, the interest you would pay at a 4.5 rate versus a 6.5 rate for that first year. And then for the second year, we calculate the difference between 5.5 and 6.5.
Yeah.
And that total difference in the interest that you would be paying is by the seller, you know, it's credited to you. So that money gets placed into an account with the mortgage servicer.
Yeah.
Slowly subsidizes your payment for that period of time. That's how it kind of works.
Okay.
And a lot of people ask me, because this is often used if you think that a refinance is going to be potentially an option in the next few years. A lot of people think that rates are, you know, going to come down and that may be possible.
Yeah.
And so people will ask me, okay, so if that money is being placed in this account and a year or two goes by, if it's, you know, I'm still in that period where my rate's lower and say that rates overall drop and you want to do a refinance at that point, people ask, what happens to the rest of the money? Does it go away?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Great question, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it does not actually. So you would be refunded the difference. And so that money, it's in the
It's
escrow
always
account.
going to be your money. It's in the escrow account, which is safe money account. So thank you so much. This is really helpful because, I think for somebody thinking about buying right now, this is your option. And then again, own your property is always a good investment, especially living in our Metro DC area. The housing always went up, right?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So contact Coleman if you have any question, or I'm gonna put his contact info right here too, and follow up for the next video we're gonna put on YouTube. If you have any question, again, just consult with the professional. Don't talk to your friend that they don't know anything about interest or don't know anything about real estate. Talk to the right person. Anything is free because we don't charge for for consultation, right, Coleman?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely
All right. Hope that's valuable for you, and see you another time.
All right. Thanks so much, Gift.
Bye.
Hi, I'm Glenn.
Hi, I'm Gift.
If you or someone you know is looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate here in the DC area, we want to talk to you.
Contact us, and we also are licensed in Maryland, DC, and Virginia. Would love to serve you.
Call us at 703-707-0334, or you can visit us on the web at 23homes.com.